All right, y'all, welcome back to the channel. And today we want to welcome our neighbor from the north up in Oklahoma. We got Bud Light on tonight, and welcome to the channel, Bud.
Thank you.
And Bud is the king of the side hustle. So we always like to we like to bring news and information, but we like to bring solutions. And one solution that many people need is additional income, revenue, side revenue, passive income, all these different things. And Bud has kind of revolutionized a lot of, he's got a lot of great ideas, and Bud's great and fun to talk to. So we wanted to bring Bud on. And Bud, if you might notice, is rocking a killer t-shirt. I don't know where he got that t-shirt from.
Yeah.
But yeah, we appreciate the support. And now, Bud, you're a rancher, correct?
That is correct. That's one of the things I do.
One of your many income streams, correct?
Yes, sir.
So what kind of cattle do you run, Bud?
Angus.
Angus, okay. Oh.
So our whole deal that we kind of got into is I kind of run them for our community. And so people from our church will say, hey, because they're in either the city or they're on too small of a plot, then I run the cattle and everything for our community. And then we butcher them all coming, in the November, December timeframe. And then they all just go to the processors just 2 miles down the road from me. So it could actually just run them up there with the horses, but we don't. I said we could, but and so that's the way it kind of works here, and that's just for the community and everything, and it's a great tax write-off for me.
Yep, and we talk about all the time about parallel economy, right? Yep. And community and parallel society, and I mean, Bud, that's just one example of working together as a community and even as a church. And, Bud has a resource. It's called grass, right? And he's got fencing.
That is correct.
And that's his resource. And then other people that are just in a different position, geographical position, don't have the dirt, don't have the grass, don't have the fencing. They can say, hey, Bud, here's some money. I'm going to park my cow here.
Yep.
And then if you could trot him down to the butcher, and then I'll come scoop him up, and we'll do our little barter or exchange, or no fiat greenbacks may even exchange hands, so you have a cash-free transaction that's non-taxable.
Well, they have to do the greenback fiat money with the processor.
Yes,
but,
correct.
But not with me. So you find all kinds of different ways to make things work.
So you're a rancher. So how long have you been in farming, Bud?
I grew up in it my whole life. So one of the things we talked about before is I was back there in the late 70s, 80s. I remember when I was out on the tractor by the time I was 6 years old. Just running the tractor all night with the 2-bottom plow or a 5-tine disc, and on an old M&M tractor with a propane cylinder right there, and you had to stand up on it.
Wow, that's old school.
Back in those days. But then I also remember we about lost my dad and my family. He was working 2 jobs. He was a refinery foreman in Enid, Oklahoma. During that time, did it for 28 years, and he'd work 12-hour shifts, come home, work 6 hours farming, only sleep for 4 hours and go back to work. And he did that for 28 years. And then during that time, we had the whole 80s debacle come in. I remember
loan scandal.
Yep. I remember having them talking about having operating loans at 18 and 21% interest.
Yeah.
And all we knew how to do was just work and try to stay afloat. And my sister, she's short. She'd tie blocks on the bottom of her feet, and she'd drive the car in at 10 years old to stay in line in town to get fuel, 10 gallons of gas.
Yeah.
So it was interesting times.
Because your license plate ended in an odd number. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so interesting how we always want to try to act like this time in history, like, if history doesn't repeat itself, it does rhyme. and we've experienced now, us folks that read the Bible and stuff, and we realize, and this is what I always try to interject with eschatology and, the book of Revelation and all that stuff, is these may be end time events, but they very well might be a pattern or a shadow of end time events, because many times this has happened, right? And
Solomon, Ecclesiastes, there's nothing new under the sun.
That's right. And so we had all this social turmoil. We had riots in the streets, right? We had gas. You could come every Tuesdays and Thursdays if you had an uneven number on your. I mean, it was wild, and there was nuclear threats, Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah, we were duck and cover under our desk. The drills, like that's going to save us from a nuclear blast. So those sorts of drills that we grew up with.
And then all the savings and loan crashes and bailouts and all that stuff. Yep. So, but
we actually had to go through bankruptcy at that time. And, at that time we were farming close to between 4,000 or 5,000 acres of wheat grain and everything. And this had been in my family since the land run, all this farm. And because of the bankruptcy, you couldn't, just like now, the tightening of the lending, the credit is just tightening, and they don't give out, even if you had an 850 credit score for operating loan, because we had 1 year of drought that wiped us out, or the next year you could rain too much and flood you out. Yeah. But we had, my family at that time had other family members that all kind of came together and pitched in and saved the whole family farm during that time. And back on that whole deal, here's another thing that's happening right now. I was telling you, my dad worked at that refinery in Enid, Oklahoma, 28 years. That refinery went bankrupt, closed the door. He had a pension there and gone. 28 years worth putting in pension. They took the pension money, just like they're doing nowadays, to bail out the banks, to bail out whatever it may be. And none of those guys that worked there, he never got any of that pension after 28 years being there.
That's right.
So,
and that's why we need parallel society, parallel economy. That's why we need community. That's why we need church bodies to work together. It's humanity. It's loving your neighbor. Right. It's working together. And what it isn't is like, I want a handout from the government, or somebody needs to give me something, or, I'm entitled to this, so I'm not willing to work for it, but because of who I am, and where I was born, or what. Yeah.
I'm sucking air, so you need to pay me for it.
Yeah.
So,
that's right. Yeah, pretty much.
Hey, one of the things, if your viewers go on my channel, I have a couple of my videos on there of where we're building our church for our community, and it's everybody coming together. And we do this with everybody else in the community. Like this coming weekend, we have a work day with a young man who's needing a deck and some plumbing and fencing done on his house in Oklahoma City. And the church members are coming in to do that. It's going to save him about $15,000 in labor if he hired that out. And we gone and did it with some other people in the church. Plus, everybody just kind of works together to go and help everybody out. And and then I have another one coming out. I don't know if YouTube will ban it or not, but we're butchering lambs. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, they might ban that. They don't like that kind of stuff for some reason.
They don't like that kind of stuff.
they'll let terrible Transformer Decepticon stuff on.
Yeah.
But, they don't like the processing of properly raised, grass-fed
meat. So Hey, one of the things we were going to talk about and get into, so we don't keep it too long, but since you have a lot of viewers who are farmers, I wanted to bring up, I did this on the Financial Preppers channel last week, Chris, and it's about the PARP program that's out there right now. I know that I know that there's people, you have some Fed programs, and sometimes they just give out money, and you might as well going to take that fiat money if they give it to you for free. And this is one of those things that you can't get free. So it's the PART program at your FSA. That's your Farm Service Agency. It used to be the old Soil Conservation Service. You can go down wherever your NRCS is and stuff like that. They're all in the same building, the USDA. Yeah. So PARP is the Pandemic Assistance Relief Program, revenue program, that they have an application there. It only takes 5 minutes to fill out. But here's what you have to have is that if you do your taxes and you're a farmer or rancher, you probably have a Schedule F on your taxes. And so you go to your Schedule F, line 9, which is your gross income on that Schedule F. So you take your 2020, because it's for the pandemic year 2020, the old woohoo bat flu time, and 2020, and then you can go back to 2019 or 2018 on your same Schedule F. You can pick either or, and if either one of those 2018 or 2019 is higher income than what you brought in 2020, if there's at least a 15% difference, then you can apply for this program, and they will pay you 80 to 90% of the difference back.
Wow. That is pretty cool.
So basically, if you had a $10,000 in 2020 and you had $20,000 in 2019, then they will give you back, they'll send you a check in the mail for $8,000 or $9,000. 80 or 90% to pay the difference. And the 90% is for if you're like woman minority type deal or or a veteran within the last 10 years, which is crazy because I'm a veteran, but they're like, oh, you had to be a veteran the last 10 years. And I'm like, what? But anyway, so the minority status gets you 90%.
Yep. Okay. Wow.
Everybody else is 80.
That's a cool little tip and trick there. So for now, I don't think we were generating enough revenue at that time where that would even matter for us, because we were still in the getting set up processing phase. And I don't even think we even sold any meat that year.
No, we've started up our main cattle operation last year.
Yeah. So
because we started doing exactly what you're doing actually. And we were able to sell about five or six head of cattle and get them butchered. And then also we were able to do the same thing with pigs. And we did three pigs, I think, last year too.
All right, Matt, you just brought up another side hustle deal. All right. So with the butcher, the process. Can you see where I'm pointing?
Yeah.
He's that way. So, a couple miles away. And when I was there picking some stuff up just last week, I noticed he had two 50-gallon barrels that he puts his waste into from beef and whatever he has waste. And I was like, well, what are you doing with that? He goes, I said, can I have some of that for dog? He goes, take as much as you want for dog food.
Oh, man.
And so he just gives it to you free. Plus, he gives me all the free liver I want. And that's why I go there.
Man, that's awesome.
And so but I used to be a butcher myself. So I told him I'd come up and give him a day's worth of just work to help him out and everything.
Yeah, that's great.
So
that's great.
Because just like anything, it's hard for him to get help and keep help. Yeah. Because you actually have to work at a butcher shop.
Yeah.
But here's the idea I had. That 50, I said, what do you do with that? He goes, they just dispose of it or give it away. And I thought, if you go to your local processor and they have those barrels of waste, probably a lot of your audience is probably hunters or maybe have grinding machines that they grind up their own hamburger and everything. Yeah. What if you took that and that waste, if it's free, you go back and you grind that up and you make 1 pound packages of dog food meat. You go to your local farmer's market and you just sell that on the farmer's market, fresh ground meat for dog food. I think that's a great side hustle.
100%.
Yeah, or even if you could grind it, or you might not even have to grind it, and that would be a great chicken supplement too, man. 100%. The chickens would
chicken.
that.
Now, I told Chris about that, and he's like, man, you ought to freeze dry it. Because he's got that freeze dryer, you know. He's big on that freeze dryer. We have one of those harvest rights too. We do a lot of freeze drying. But I was like, man, that takes way too long because you could sell a little pack for $40. I'm like, that's not worth it to me. The good thing about a side hustle is you can start it and you can stop it whenever you want.
That's a great point. I mean, so explain that a little bit. Like, I mean, I think that this term side hustle in social media, this is like a newer vernacular type term. But I think the whole concept of the side hustle is just like you were saying, it's something that you can, hey, you know what? That's a good idea. I'm going to try that. So usually there's not a huge capital investment. There's not licensing involved. There's not insurance involved. You don't need a commercial type of vehicle to transport or lettering or that type of insurance.
Well, I'll give you a perfect example of probably one of my most successful one. And most of my videos that I have on my channel is ones that I did. So I have over 60 of them now on there.
That's great.
Of different side hustles to do. So my best one I probably did was, do you need beer money? And that's what I needed at one time when I was in college. I needed beer money. And I did back then when I was drinking beer and all that. And I said, what do I do to get that? And I went down to Ace Hardware, bought a can of spray paint and some stencils. And I went knocking on the doors up and down my street, said, can I paint your house number out here on the curb? And for $1, and people say, yeah, for $1, go ahead. And that turned into a full-blown business. My first week, I made about $500 cash because they would give me tips too.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
And then I went and hired probably about 3 or 4 other guys from college that they would do it. I'd split the commissions. I was bringing in around myself. I was from everybody between around $1,500 cash a week. On doing that until we actually ran out of neighborhood and home to do. And we did the whole southern half of Stillwater, Oklahoma. Wow. And I made enough that I went and paid cash $7,000 for a used Silverado black truck, short bed, 6-cylinder, hot. Woo, man, it was a nice looking truck.
That is awesome. I think the big thing about side hustle is the second word. The hustle. Yep. And it's not.
You got to
hustle. No, you got to move. Man. You got to hustle. You got to think outside the box. And there's nothing more pertinent right now in considering like parallel economy, considering a difficult economy, considering as things change and shift. A polymath approach. And this is where the Prussian government propaganda system has systematically destroyed us, is like this expertise widget kind of, we're going to train you to be good worker bees so that you can go to school, get a good education, so that you can get a good job, so that you can get that pension like your dad got that didn't exist, when he went to retire. And that model is completely obliterated. So we have to think differently, develop a different paradigm. And one paradigm is like, oh, well, I can't, I've changed careers 4 times, just because you even have a career, that doesn't mean that's what you're going to do for the rest of your life. That doesn't even mean that's what you're going to do. I might not be doing that in December. I'm going to do what aligns with my values, what honors God, what serves my family, what serves my neighbors, my community. That's what I'm going to do the best that does that. And if what I'm doing doesn't do that, I'm going to change and I'm going to do something different. And as our economy fluctuates and moves and different things are manipulated, this is going to become more and more relevant to everyone. And so you got to start thinking now. You start thinking and planning now. You plan ahead and in advance. And the great thing is you come up with scenarios and options. And if you never have to implement them, that's even better. And that's why I train the boys. You always got to be thinking and moving, and you always got to be the hardest working person, and you got to make it happen. And don't ask, well, what do you want me to do now? What I mean?
So speaking of that, Matt, what's your younger brothers right below you's name?
James.
James, why, whenever you guys do videos, we always see him working in the background. And you're just sitting talking on the video and stuff. I mean, who's the worker?
We all three work, but somebody has to film it. So
I know.
None
I
of
just
them
busted on you.
I know.
Bud's got you figured out, man.
I know. I've had so many people on the channel. They're like, "Oh, I see. Matt's over there, just like sitting on the camera, sitting over there, letting everybody do all the work."
What people don't know about James is like James lives to work.
He does.
And so he's going to finish something today, and he's like ordering the parts for his massive project tomorrow, and like rolling rock collects no moss. That's like his mantra. He's not stopped.
Yeah,
he's off to the
nonstop.
You have to make him go to bed at midnight. Come on now, you need to get to sleep.
Exactly.
Literally.
I can't tell you how many times my wife is like, "Son, it's time for bed," and you have to get up. You can finish that tomorrow.
The only thing that will slow him down is sickness.
Yep.
Literally. That's it.
It's the only thing that stops him.
So one of the things you were bringing up a while ago about the hustle, you got to hustle on the side hustle. Yeah. You know, I'm a Marine. I've always lived by the motto, adapt and overcome.
Yep.
And do that. And so right now I have 5 different companies and businesses, and I still do side hustles every now and then. You know, even though I have these different companies, if something comes up that I can make $1,000 on over here, that I'm like, I'll drop everything just to go do that, and that I can knock out and get done. And I'm like, and you feel good about it.
Yeah.
But it's as far as the not physiology, psychology of side hustle is that's the cool thing about a side hustle is that whenever you get tired of it or it runs its course, you can just stop and you go on to the next one. Now, if your side hustle, and this was a side hustle of mine that became a full-blown company. I had a construction and engineering company for years. Started out as a side hustle when I was in the Corps. And I would suggest that if you start this as a business, then you do need to follow the tax and legal deals and get an LLC, a sub-S flow through, whatever it may be set up for in your type of situation that may be. And then you can get all the tax breaks on top of that. So that was
that's a good
my
point.
Advice on that.
Yeah, the side hustle grows, and if it grows to something that's bigger or full-time or expandable, you just expand with it. But if it doesn't, there's lots of fads and trends and different things. Yeah. It was just like what you were telling us earlier. I don't think we talked about this on the air, but you were telling us about Atwood's. Atwood's is one of our favorite stores. And tell everybody what you were the tip about Atwood's you were telling us.
Okay, so Atwood's is the headquarters are here where I'm at, up here in Oklahoma. I didn't know Atwood's was cleared down there where you guys are at, but back, this was, I got back from Afghanistan 14, so this would have been 15. And the one thing that Atwood's would do is that when you go to Atwood's, you see those bundles of wood that they have for sale during the winter that's all wrapped up in plastic. And I think they sell them for like $16 a bundle, which is crazy. But I went to the local manager of Atwood's and just go see whoever the manager is and say, can I supply you with that? And he said, yeah. They would buy them from $7 to $8 a bundle from you, and you had to wrap them. You had to make sure that they were hardwood, good quality burning wood. And so that's still, I don't care if they sold those for $100 each. If he's giving me $7, $8, I could do up 100 of those in one day. Wrap them up and load them and take them.
I think the beautiful thing about the side hustle is for young people, especially like us kids. A lot of the younger generation that I see, they're in college or high school, or they're just finishing up and they're thinking about what they want to do. So they get some mindless job working at McDonald's, making, whatever it is now. It's higher now, probably close to $15 to $20 an hour now. But, I never did that. I just started more side hustles on top of side hustles.
Right.
So the YouTube channel went from a little bit of a side hustle.
Yeah.
And then I had to make the decision okay, I could keep this as a side hustle, or I could turn it into a full-blown business. So then I decided to turn it into a full-blown business, and then add on top of that the website and all the products that came along with that.
Right.
And then on top of that, I was like, well, I would really like to take the money that we're making with that and get into sawmilling. So started that little side hustle, wasn't looking into getting into the business or anything, just wanted the sawmill. And just from the grapevine had 4 or 5 guys reach out and drop off logs. And I'm like, I'm charging like $50 an hour. And, so I go on out there and I charge them $50 an hour to mill up their wood and everything like that. So now I've made the decision to have that become a business. So I went out and I bought the mobile part of the sawmill, and I actually did some research for the Northeast Texas area, and there's really nobody out there that has a mobile sawmilling business. And
what kind of wood are you sawing, Matt?
I saw everything. So hardwoods, softwoods,
oak,
all the way
cedar,
up to
pine.
30-inch round logs.
Yeah, but what is your main tree down in that where you're at? Is that walnut?
Our main tree is oak and pine.
Oak and pine.
Oak and pine? Okay.
Oak and pine. Yep. Mainly
like it is here.
Yep. A lot like it is there.
Yeah. Our walnuts are
or cedar
between.
Yeah.
We have quite a few cedar too.
Yeah.
So that's our main variety of wood down here. So, but so I'm starting to do that. The mobile sawmilling unit should be coming in pretty soon. So that's just the trailer package. I already have it back there. And then on top of that, I saw another opportunity, and nobody has a wood kiln in Northeast Texas. That does not exist. So like you can get your wood milled around here at normal little mills or whatever, but nobody's going to kiln it for you,
Right.
So I'm going to go ahead and convert my, where I have my sawmill right now in that pole barn, I'm going to convert that pole barn into a wood kiln, and then just be able to charge people to keep their wood in there for 4
Now, are you going to use a natural gas for that to make your kiln?
No, it'll be a solar kiln. It'll cost me nothing.
Solar.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would be very interested in how that works out.
Yeah. So it's like a glorified greenhouse. You put your see-through panels on it, and then you put some solar fans in there to keep the air moving around in there. So when the moisture builds up, the fans will suck it out actually. So now some guys people say, you might be inclined to putting a dehumidifier in there, but you really don't want to do that because it will dry out your wood too quickly and they'll twist and snap and do all types of stuff like that. So instead of taking a couple years it's normally like an inch a year for normally just air drying wood. But that compresses that down to about like 4 months. So it's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Cool. That'd be neat. So you brought up, kids your age. Again, I refer back to a couple of my videos. I don't know if you saw it on there, but did you see where I interviewed the 16-year-old girl who has a gopher killing business?
No, I didn't see I saw the thumbnail, but I didn't get to watch the video.
She makes over about $700-800 and $1,200 a month killing gophers, catching gophers and killing them.
Out of here!
In New Mexico, the Water Conservation Service will pay $3 a tail, and so they catch all the gophers. You cut the tails off, and she takes them in, and they give her $3 a tail.
Wow, so, that's hilarious.
I did another young man who's 17, makes 7 figures already, but mostly in. They have he's a manager of a 24,000 acre ranch out in New Mexico. And he went and they were putting up all those windmills out there. Yeah. And he went and asked me, he said, hey, a side hustle deal. He just went up and said, because they had those spools that they have all the wire and the big wire, it's like that, and all the cut pieces. He said, can I clean all that saw up for you? And they're like, well, what do you want? He goes, I won't charge you. And so he got all the wire and everything and all those spools. And I mean, they have hundreds and hundreds of those windmills out there. He took it all, and he had a load. That's aluminum wire.
Oh,
and
man.
his first load was 3,000 pounds, and they gave him $1 a pound for that aluminum wire for scrap. Wow. And then he took all of the those big, huge spools. Mm-hmm. He just turned them over, put some stain on them, took them to an auction, and they all sold for between around $50 to $75 as tables for people.
Wow,
that's awesome.
So, and he's 17. So
that is great. Just some ingenuity and some hustle, and you can make it happen.
Man,
I go through so many different deals that you guys, that kids, especially young kids, can do, and younger and even older folks. There's a whole lot of stuff in the city you can do. One of the things, I know you probably get a lot of negative feedback sometimes on your channels, and I get those same ones like, oh, you can't do that, the city won't, you have to get a permit, you have to do this, you have to do that, and they'll slap you down with this, or their ATF's going to come after you for this or that. And I tell everybody on all my things, my motto is, hey, it's better ask for forgiveness than permission. Just go do it.
That's exactly right.
Just go and do it until you're told to stop.
That's right.
That's it. That's what I do.
And I guarantee you, 9 times people got more stuff to worry about. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get stopped.
Oh, never.
We were, we bought a piece of property that the boys are kind of developing, and this was actually our friend that was running for councilman, right? So he didn't win. We voted for him, but that'll tell you something about voting. Yeah. But anyway, but he was like, "Oh no," he's like, "You can't put a culvert in there."
Well, we were talking about getting an entrance for the property.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's like, well, that's going to cost you like $7,000 or $8,000,
thousands of dollars,
and because you're going to have to call, and I'm like, oh, really?
Really?
So the boys, I wasn't even around. The boys went and got the culvert.
No, we rented a mini excavator for about a month, and we had.
That's when you have James out there at midnight. Digging out all that.
Exactly.
Next morning, hey, it's done.
Yeah, exactly. So we went over to the ranch, and we found a 20-foot section of culvert. Yeah. And then we went down to our local culvert guy, and found out that guy is absolutely awesome too. And we got another 20-foot section. So now we put in that 40-foot section in there, and heck, nobody's ever going to say anything. No, it looks like it's always been there.
It's always been
there. So, right. And we didn't pay thousands of dollars.
And the thing is that I tell all my people all the time is always offer cash. You can get a lot done if it's just cash.
Yes, you can.
Yep.
And even though we may be in the CBDC here before too long, you might as well use up that green toilet paper while you can.
That's right.
And and try to get everything cash. And you can get all kinds of deals. Now, I'm sure people's going to come back on your YouTube and say, that's against the law. You can't be doing that. Well, oh well. You go ahead and go to your 9-to-5 job, and for the government later ask for money.
98% of what our government does is illegal. So we're just
illegal. Beyond illegal. Rules for thee and not for me. So
Well, Bud, man, this has been great. We are definitely going to have you back on. We appreciate our neighbors to the north and the good old folks of Oklahoma. And
if you're headed up this way anytime, come up. We'll do a little fishing.
Oh yeah,
that'd be great.
We like fishing.
That'd be great.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Or actually, we could go to Texoma, Lake Texoma down there, and go striper fishing. That's a great place for striper fishing.
Stripers. That'd be fun. I've been striper fishing in decades. We'll put a link to Bud's channel down below, so definitely check out Bud and subscribe. And as always, y'all, this is a value for value proposition. So if you like our content and our interviews and the people that we bring on to the content connect you with, please check out TheTexasBoys.com. We have lots of cool merch. Just ask Bud. And we have a great unvaccinated organic honey, and we have coffees and teas and everything else that you may need. Hey, if all else fails, you can always buy us a coffee so you can click the Buy Us a Coffee link down below. We appreciate all the support through there.
Just real quick, I do a young entrepreneur section on my channel, Matt. I would love to have you come on as one of my interviewing you as a young entrepreneur. Would you do that?
Yeah, that would be incredible. That'd be awesome.
Okay, actually, I might have you and James both on there.
Oh, okay. That'd be great.
Yeah,
that'd be lots of fun.
I can make that work out.
Okay.
Yeah, I can do that. I can.
All right, we'll get it scheduled, bud.
All right. Good seeing you. Everybody have a good evening.
Thanks for coming on. Y'all have a great night.
Bye-bye.
See you now.